Hi everyone, in this video we are going to understand what is change tracking and inventory and how can we set up this for a single or multiple Azure virtual machines. So let's dive into the presentation. So when we talk about inventory, so what inventory does is it keeps a track of all your files, of your softwares, of your daemons, of your registry keys, etc. So it keeps in check all those files present on your machines, and change tracking comes in place. It will check all that and will keep a track of all those changes. Also get you notified if you set up an alert on this. So right now change tracking and inventory is being done through the new Azure Monitor Agent and the change tracking extension. Earlier it was being done through the Log Analytic Agent, which is replicated now. So this new agent provides a lot of benefits which we can avail. We'll see that in next slide. Key benefits it provide is compatibility. Change tracking and inventory is compatible with the Azure Monitor Agent, which provides enhanced security, reliability, and multi-homing capabilities. So via multi-homing capabilities means that in a single workspace we can gather data from all other locations. Integrations, so this agent integrates with the change tracking extension and then push the software files and registry data to the AMA for centralized monitoring. The centralized management feature of AMA provides centralized data collection is very easier for management compared to the log analytic agent which we used earlier, and the customizable rules, so we can use a DCR to collect and tell the agent what data it needs to collect from the VM. So all those benefits is being provided by the new Azure Monitor Agent. How the change tracking tracks the files and how can it help us being notified. So it uses SHA 256 hashes to detect changes in both Windows and Linux operating system. So whenever the file is being changed or by a user or a security concern, you are informed about any alterations. Security implications, it helps you identify unauthorized file modifications, enhancing security posture and mitigating potential risk. Also version control, so it track file versions and changes over time, which can provide you audit trail for improved accountability. Next is registry key tracking, so all those important parameters which Windows use to manage the OS security. So any change in the registry key will get you alerted and then you can check if it's crucial or need an investigation. It provides you multiple benefits like security risk, configuration auditing, early detection and incident response. Next, so in the data collection frequency we can specify time duration during which data is going to be sent to the workspace. So in the data source Windows registry, every 50 minutes the data is being sent to the workspace. For Windows file we can change it to 30 to 40 minutes. For Linux file it's 15 minutes. For Windows services 10 to 30 minutes. So if the Windows service is stopped during that time frame, we will get the notification within 10 minutes. We'll check how can we monitor Windows services with change tracking extension and Azure Monitor Agent on the next video. A Windows software it's 30 minutes and the Linux software 5 minutes and the Linux daemons 5 minutes. So alerts. So how can we get alerted during any change? So we can use the queries in the workspace like the configuration change or a Windows service down change. We'll see more that in the next video. So we can set that KQL queries to get alerted. Also with the alert we can use Azure functions, automation runbooks or webhooks to trigger whenever the alert is generated. So all those capabilities is built in into the Azure alerting. The query examples can be like a system critical file. We can use it to track and get notified in case a file has been changed. Configuration files or a Windows service is down or up. All these we can use with the change tracking and extension. Now let's head over to the Azure portal and see how can we set this on a single or a multiple virtual machines. So in the Azure portal I have created two resource groups, which is change tracking RG1 and change tracking resource group 2. In the resource group we have a Windows VM and in the 2 we have a Linux VM. So suppose you want to enable the change track for a single VM only, so we will search for virtual machines. In the virtual machine select one of the VM which you want to enable it. Like in this case, let's suppose I want to enable it for Windows. I'll head over to under operations, there is change tracking. In here first you need to have a workspace to which it is going to send the data. So I'll first create the log analytic workspace. So let's create a log analytic workspace first. Let's click on create, change tracking, log analytic workspace, India tags, review and create. Let's wait until this is deployed. Alright, so it's created. Let's head back to this page and let's refresh this. So you can see now this change tracking laws workspace being popped up here. So I'll click on enable. So this is how you can set up for a single virtual machines. Now if we think about multiple virtual machines, let's go to the virtual machines page again. We'll select all the VMs to which we want to get this feature active and then click on services and then change tracking. So in here you can see I've already enabled the Windows VM. Now I'm only getting the option to enable it for Linux VM. For you, this is going to show you all other VMs which you have in your environment, and you can enable it from here. Now I've selected my Linux VM and then I click on enable. In here also you can change the log analytic workspace where you want to send the data to. Keep in mind the workspace you are choosing to send the data to is also the place where you have to set the alerts. So think that way and set up your alerts also, right? So I'll leave it as change tracking log analytic workspace and click on enable. Let's wait until this is being deployed. It will take around 2 to 3 minutes to enable. So meanwhile it's being enabled. If you want to do it for multiple VMs at scale, like the VMs which you are going to create in future, and you don't want to do it manually, so you can use policies which will automatically deploy the agent and the extension on the VMs which you will create in future or any VMs you already have. You just have to use the deploy if not exist policy and select the workspace and the DCR, and then it will automatically install the change tracking extension. So now that the change tracking is enabled, we'll head over to the any virtual machine and see which extensions we have on the VM. So we'll see when we enable the change tracking, the Azure Monitor Agent got automatically deployed, and also the change tracking extension. So these two agents are necessary to have change tracking enabled. In Linux VM, this would be the same. We have Azure Monitor Linux agent and a change tracking Linux extension. So this AMA agent also uses DCR to check which data it will collect from the VM and where to send, like the workspace destination. So if we head over to data collection rule, we can see here the DCR is automatically created with the name change tracking -DCR data collection rule. If I open this, we can add the resources, we can change the destination like the workspace. All those settings we can do in the DCR. If I head over to resources, I'll see two machines, Windows and Linux VM, right? And if I head to data sources, I won't see anything here. Now to how can we change or modify the settings? We will need to go to the virtual machine and then the change tracking. In here we can just go to the settings, or we can go to the open change and inventory center. Like in this case, we'll see the machines, we can see the change tracking, it detects from the VM, and then the inventory as well. So I'll head back and I'll click on settings. Up here you can also see the data collection rule which we are changing, which we just saw on the Azure. So this is same, we cannot configure these changes in the DCR itself, but we need to go through this way. So if we go to the Windows file, we can add here the item name, the group, the path where the file is, a recursion, or the upload file content false. We can add Linux file, so it's recommending a etc config file. So it has already enabled this etc config file. So whenever these changes are detected, it will show in the log analytic workspace. And if you want to get notified, you have to set up alert on those logs. In the Windows registry, you can see all these options we can enable, or we can add it manually from here. So in the Windows service, you can change the time from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. So at this time frame, the Windows services status will be notified to the log analytic workspace and then the file content. So all the settings we can change from here, and this is how we can set up change tracking and inventory for a single or multiple Azure VM. Stay tuned for the next. In the next video, we are going to cover how can we set up alert for whenever the Windows service goes down through change tracking. Thank you.